Hello, ladies. Welcome to the Financial Flourish podcast, the place where we talk all things money, mindset, and stepping boldly into the financial freedom God designed for us. I'm your host, Michele Pemberton, and in today's episode, we're going to have a real, heartfelt, and empowering conversation about something that impacts millions of women across the country and, in fact, across the world: the unique financial challenges women face and how we overcome them. So grab your coffee, your tea, and notebook, or if you're going for a stroll, your walking shoes. This episode is going to equip you with truth, tools, and a touch of boldness. As we go through this episode, know that I am not giving you this information for you to see yourself as a victim, but rather for you to be aware of what you're up against and are better equipped to manifest yourself as a victor. As you look at your money situation and beat upon yourself because it just seems so much harder for you than men, know that you have some unique challenges to face and overcome. We will look at 5 of them today. Firstly, we look at the income and wealth gap. Women generally earn less than men to do the same job. And so we accumulate less wealth because of that, and that leads to more financial insecurities and higher level of stress. According to the Bureau of Labor in the US, in 2023, women earn 83.6% of men's median income. What this means is that for every $1 that a man makes, a woman makes 83 cents for the same job. But wait, that is as it relates to a white woman versus a white man. If we dig deeper, we find that a black woman compared to a white man makes 69.6 cents, and a Hispanic woman makes 64.6 cents compared to a white man making $1. Right here, you can see that as a woman, you're starting out from behind. And if you're a black or Hispanic woman, you're starting out from way behind. So give yourself some grace. That is why it is important to not compare yourself with others, but to set your own financial goals and compare yourself based on where you are on this journey. Now, interestingly enough, the higher up the ladder you are, the wider the gap. That has to do with the lower level workers having the minimum wage as an equalizer because they can't be paid less than a certain amount. But there's nothing to equalize compensation at the top. This should not deter you from seeking higher education and from advancing your career, though. What can you do to try and increase your earnings? Firstly, know your worth. You know what your educational background is all about. You know what your professional experience looks like. So do some research and see what you're worth. Look at websites like Glassdoor, PayScale, Salary.com. They can help to understand what others in your field are making. And once you get this information, negotiate your salary. Because women have such low confidence when it comes to money, we're afraid to ask for what we're worth. And that can lead to lower pay. And if you're an entrepreneur, charge your worth. Don't lowball your services out of fear. I know I've done that in the past. Another financial challenge that is unique to women is the career breaks that women take for caregiving of children, spouses, and parents. The break is primarily for childbirth, where 96% of women take maternity leave. The length of the leave varies 2 weeks to 12 weeks, depending on the situation. And in some cases, some women stay home for up to 5 years or more if they have more than one child, as they stay home to take care of their children until they get to elementary age. It's important to note that nowadays more men are taking paternity leave, and according to the US Census, 67% of men take paternity leave, but the average time is about 2 weeks. There was a study done in Canada by McKinsey and McGill University, and it shows that 20% of the men who took paternity leave cited career setback as their biggest concern for not taking time off. So these men recognize that taking time off does set a woman back in her career. I remember working with a company in Miami many years ago, and there was this one lady who reported to me. She had 3 children. She was always out because these children were sick. The cycle goes on where the first one gets sick, he gets better, the next one gets sick. Then that one gets better, then the next one gets sick. And then by the time you look around, we're starting from the first one. So she was always out from work. And I remember asking her, why are you the one who's staying home with your children? I didn't have children at the time. And she told me because her husband has to work. I thought that was funny because I was wondering, well, what is she doing then? But that is the reality for many women. Even in my own life, I took time off after my children were born and I worked part time for many years. I remember during my pregnancy, I was working as a contract worker. And after they were born, they were preemies. So my full time job became taking care of them, going to and from the hospital. And after they came home from the hospital, the CEO came to my home to interview me for a full time job, which I turned down because it wasn't going to fit into my schedule with 2 preemie children. And so I continued working 2 days per week and on location, and the business closed the office in Miami after about 2 years. And that's when I decided to go full time into my business. And even so, I still took breaks because I left early to pick my children up from school up to middle school. And even now that they're in high school, I still get called all the time to pick them up for one reason or the other. I was joking a few months ago, I was joking with some friends and telling them that I think I should just get a job at the school because I'm always there. And then the following week, I went to get one of them, of course. And as I got to the gate and looking for my ID to show the security guard, and he said, "Oh, no, you can go. I know you." I thought it was just funny that I was there so often that this gentleman knew me, even though he was not the only guard at that gate. What all these breaks boil down to, according to the US Department of Labor, is that women lose about $295,000 during her lifetime in breaks for caregiving. That's a lot of money. Do you know what you can do with $295,000? I know what I can do with it. So, what are we going to do? Because I know that women are not going to stop taking breaks to take care of their loved ones. So, what are some of the things that you can do? Stay connected to your network, even if you're not working. So, you have different associations for the industry that you're in. Stay connected. Go to their meetings. They normally have meetings average once a month. So, go to a meeting once a month. Go to a chamber of commerce in your area. Go to their meetings so that you're still connected to persons who you know and who can make a difference in your career. The next thing you can do is to keep your skills sharp with free resources. There are things like Coursera, LinkedIn Learning, and Khan Academy. You can get information here to keep your skills sharpened. And when you decide to go back into the workforce, you might want to consider entering as a contract or freelance worker instead of going full time. This would help to rebuild your momentum. So when you're ready to go back full time, you're caught up. The third challenge that we're going to look at is that women have a longer life expectancy. And you said, Michelle, how is this a challenge? And I say yes, because women live at least, on average, I should say, women live on average 5 years longer than men. And so women do need more money to survive. Think in your own life and see how many women are living and their husbands are gone. Of course, you will always have exceptions. So women need more money to retire than men. Do you see the dilemma? You work the same job, you get paid less, that affects your wealth, and then you live longer. Women save 30% less than men for retirement. It's not because you're lazy or financially irresponsible, but because of the challenges that you face. Many women rely on their spouse's retirement plan, but divorce, widowhood, or career gaps can leave you exposed. So, what can you do? Open your own retirement account. Open an individual retirement account, an IRA, a Roth IRA, a solo 401k. And if you're employed, maxed out your employer match. That's a no brainer. And finally, don't be afraid to talk to a financial advisor. Knowledge is power. The fourth issue that we're going to look at is that women have higher medical costs than men. Initially, I thought that it was because of maternity costs, but no. A study by Deloitte, hiding in plain sight the healthcare gender toll, estimated that women will pay $15.4 billion more in medical costs annually than men based on deductibles, coinsurance, and out of pocket maximum. Did you hear that number? $15.4 billion more. And this is annually. The discrepancy held for women in every age group from age 19 to 64. So this is not just women in childbearing age. The main driver of the gap between men and women's out of pocket costs was utilization. Because women use the services more, they are more likely than men to have contact with a healthcare provider. And women also use more services the radiology, laboratory, mental health, emergency room, etc. On average, a female employee with individual insurance paid 20% more than men. And if you want to include pregnancy related costs, it averages about $2,900 out of pocket. So here you can see that women do need a lot more money than men. There's a health research company called KFF, and they said that 50% of women have put off health care they needed, and 40% have skipped a recommended medical test or treatment because of the cost. And this is compared to 35% and 26% of men, respectively. These costs put women's financial health at risk as well as their physical health. And we know that if we are not well physically, we cannot flourish financially. Stacey Francis, she's the founder of Savvy Ladies, and she said, sky high healthcare costs threaten women's economic security. Women carry much higher debt burden because of medical costs that they cannot afford to pay at the time of care. These women are just one serious illness away from financial disaster. End of quote. But that is really sobering. The fifth and final challenge is heavy, but it's real, and it's financial abuse. According to the National Network to End Domestic Violence, 1 in 4 women are in an abusive relationship, and 99% of domestic violence cases include financial abuse. And this includes withholding money, controlling access to accounts, or sabotaging your employment, which includes showing up at your job, preventing you from going to work. These are real issues that women face. If you or someone you know is in this situation, there is help. Call the National Network to End Domestic Violence hotline at 1 800 799 7233. or reach out to a local organization that can help to provide support and financial education. If you're in this situation, how can you overcome it? Open a private bank account. Keep copies of your key financial documents and build a financial exit plan with help from a counselor or a financial coach. Now, these are some big challenges, but these are big challenges that you can overcome, and it's done by making the first step. There's a proverb that says, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step." So take the step. Ladies, you're brilliant, resourceful, and powerful. But many of you carry money shame or anxiety because of how you were raised, past mistakes, or societal messages. But you can overcome them. Speak life over your finances. Use affirmations. I'm worthy of money. I am a wise steward of my resources. I am smart with money. These are some affirmations that you can use to encourage and inspire yourself. Work with a coach or tune into this podcast, Financial Flourish, weekly. So, we unpacked a lot of things today. Here is our Flourish challenge this week. Identify one financial challenge that we covered today and identify the one that you relate to most. Write down one action step you can take to push back against it. And lastly, share this episode with a woman you care about. Let's build this community of financially flourishing women together. Remember, your financial past does not define you. Your decisions today do. And we don't want to just survive, we want to flourish. Thank you very much for tuning in today. Be sure to subscribe on Spotify, Financial Flourish, and leave us a review. You can also follow us on Instagram at _Financial Flourish. I'm so glad that you were able to listen today. Until next time, ladies, take one more step towards your financial goal and don't forget to flourish.